Hi, folks. My name is James Smith, and I'm an instructor here at William Penn. I teach manufacturing and construction classes, and I've been asked to teach the industrial wood processing course that you're taking this semester. I've been teaching for about 10 years now, and so I grew up around construction. My dad was the first to teach me how to use a hammer and to roof houses. He'd oftentimes buy these old fixer-uppers, and we would go and do some remodeling and roofing, and we'd do fascia and soffit and all these different things. And so I've kind of grown up around this sort of thing. I was one of those kids that in high school where they'd take all the industrial wood processing courses that they could get. I love it. I've grown up doing it, and so I'm grateful for the opportunity that I can kind of share my experiences with you that way. Wood processing course is a fantastic course. It's really kind of designed to kind of introduce to students how to use a lot of the common wood processing machines that you'll find in a woodworking laboratory. But also kind of the larger focus that I have is using wood processing to teach leadership. All right. And so, you know, there's something about, you know, a wood processing course that inherently you're going to come across a lot of problems, and you're going to have to work through those problems. You're going to have to work together with other people, and you're going to, you know, when you're put into a team, you're going to have to work through personal issues, people not showing up, communicating ideas and technical ideas, and managing projects. And a lot of this stuff, you know, is how we learn leadership. And so you know, that's kind of the angle that I'm taking here in teaching a wood processing class. There's a document that we put together here at William Penn called Woodworking If Taught Right. All right, there's a lot of teachers. I'm going to share my screen here, and just so you can kind of see this. But there's a lot of teachers that teach woodworking in the state of Iowa. It's a very popular course that you'll find. And one of the things that I really would challenge each and every one of us, if you ever get asked to teach a wood processing course, is to make it more than just focused on skills, right? So the skills are great, and we need to develop those, right? But when it's just about the skills, we're missing out on a lot of opportunities. All right. And so as I was kind of thinking about some of the woodworking classes that I've taught and the value that they've added in my life, these are some things that I thought about. First, I learned how to be a craftsman. It's more than just putting pieces of material together. It's creating joints that are strong, that fit tight. The layout is exact, and the quality is high. And a lot of that craftsmanship comes with as you develop more skills. But it's more than that. It's an attitude, right? Through a wood processing class, we are able to learn a lot about manufacturing. With any project, there's planning, there's organization, there's, you know, working together with other people. When you need help, who are you going to ask? There's mass production, learning about how to attack a project if you're not just making one, but making 10 or 100 or 1,000. All right. What do you do when you come across a problem, all right, that you didn't think about when you were planning? It's going to take research. It's going to take talking to people who maybe have experienced that problem before. And so learning a solid problem-solving technique is something that we do in a woodworking class. That's huge. We utilize machines and tooling, templates, jigs, and fixtures. And these are all things that relate to manufacturing that way. And the manufacturing, we know the industry in manufacturing is huge here in the state of Iowa, especially around Oskaloosa. I know we've got a lot of companies, and some of them are wood-based manufacturing companies like Pella Windows. There's a lot of manufacturers that work with wood on a daily basis, and so in that way, this particular class is fundamental. It's the foundation, right? But it's beyond that. It's construction, it's logging, it's making lumber, it's distributing lumber, and the industry is huge here in the state of Iowa. We have prime hardwoods that are sought by all over the world, and there's a lot of manufacturing here. It's just a great place. The wood industry is huge. Number 4 on this sheet, woodworking is something that I enjoy a lot. I'm sure not everybody does, but for some, I used to know a ears, nose, and throat doctor who loved woodworking, and that's what he would do for a hobby. He would go and he would make these wood strip canoes, and he found a lot of joy and satisfaction. It was a great way to unwind and relax after a long day's work for him. And so this might be that for you. I don't know. Through working with wood, I've learned to really appreciate the art and the beauty of wood. Wood is a very warm material that has a lot of interesting characteristics. The grain of wood, I mean, one piece of wood, there are no two pieces of wood that are exactly the same. And so, and if you've ever designed any furniture, you'd realize how hard it is to design something that not only is it functional, but it's also aesthetically pleasing. And, there's a lot of art that goes into woodworking if you're doing design work, or even if you're making a piece of furniture, to select a piece of wood because of its grain for the panel on a raised panel door, that is something that it's really cool. And last but not least, we're all going to be homeowners someday, or at least maybe. I guess there's less and less of that all the time, but most of us are going to buy a house, and we need to be able to work on it. We might have some furniture, a bench that we want to build, or like a couple of years ago, I built this. We have a garage, and I built all these kind of a locker system for my kids, so that when they come in, they can just throw their snow boots and hang up their coats and things. And so having those skills was really valuable that way. But if you have to patch drywall, or if you have to build an addition, or I don't know, if you're going to replace a light fixture, it's helpful to understand how to use tools and what you can do, and how homes are built. And so this is the beginning of that. And so there are lots of different reasons why learning how to work with wood and how to make wood products and how to design and work together with people. There's a lot of different reasons why it's super important. It has to be more than just making projects and learning skills. Okay. It has to be more than that. It is a great tool for learning leadership that way. Okay. And so that's why I do it. That's why we offer this course here at William Penn. It's super important. And it's something that I don't see going away anytime soon. So, and there's a lot of schools in the state of Iowa that do that, that have these programs. And so as we were kind of figuring out which courses should be part of an add-on endorsement, industrial tech degree, and this was one of the must-haves for us, for me specifically. Okay, so let's talk about the course and how you're going to use it to do all those things that we just talked about. All right, so let me share my screen again. Let's go to the Moodle homepage, and let's see here. Where is it? Let's go to Moodle. I had it up, but then it disappeared. There it is. Okay, so this is what INDU 107 wood processes, industrial wood processes homepage looks like. You can see there's this nice lady. She looks like she's having fun. Right, but at the top, you'll see that there's the syllabus, first and foremost. We're going to go through that today. But there's some other things too. Some announcements. That's what I use to push emails and announcements out to anybody who's enrolled in the class. There's a link for, if you have any issues and you want to get together to show me and to talk, help me, you want me to help walk you through issues, I'm happy to do that. And we can use Teams to accommodate that. Attendance is done here too. And you can kind of see that I've got this organized in weeks. So there's week 1, week 2, week 3. And you can probably see that week 1 was pretty long. Week 2, week 3. Once we get into week 3, we're going to kind of find ourselves into the routine. We should be working on lab work, but then we also have a couple of class reading assignments and other things that'll be due weekly. There's usually going to be a lab report and a quiz each week that way, and a video to introduce kind of the next couple chapters that way. So, but anyway, I wanted to start by going through that syllabus here. So let's download that and we'll open it. And I don't want to go through the whole thing. I just kind of want to hit the highlights. So, so first and foremost, my contact information is here. If you ever have any questions, please call me or email me. Probably email is going to be the best way to get a hold of me. I respond to all emails at the latest 24 hours, but you certainly can. Oftentimes I'll get back to you sooner than that. I guess if you're taking this class and you're watching this video, you're probably taking it as an online or hybrid type course, meaning you're going to be doing a lot of the classwork and lab work from wherever you're at, okay? Not here on campus. And so, so obviously the time and the course location don't really mean much to you. But this one will. So the book that we use in this class is called Woodworking Second Edition. I really like this book because it has, it's written in a way that's easy to understand, lots of good pictures. But the thing I like about it most is it comes with all these different project plans that are fantastic, and you can use them as you create your own course. And so it's a great resource. And to be honest, we're going to use the first half of this book for this class, and then the second half we use for our second wood processing course, which is kind of a cabinet making course. And so we'll be utilizing this book weekly that way. Now, obviously, we are the objectives of this class is to kind of learn the fundamental skill or fundamentals about woodworking and construction, and also all those other things that we were talking about earlier. Okay, the way that you're graded in this class is I organize it so that you've got kind of your classwork, you've got your lab work, and then you have your final exam. Okay, the classwork is weighted 3/7 of the final grade. The lab work is 3/7 of the final grade, and the final is 1/7. Okay, and so that's how the final grades are calculated. And you can see that there are mainly a couple things that make up that classwork portion of the grade. All right, so each week, once we get into week 3, there will be a lecture or an online video that you'll watch, and that's where I'll kind of introduce the topics included in the chapters that you're going to be reading. So you watch the video and then you read through the reading, and then at the end of the reading there are questions at the back called well, they're like your test your knowledge or check your understanding questions, right? And so I use those a lot as I put together the weekly assessments. So I definitely recommend that students you can prepare by reading the chapter and then answering those questions. And then at the end of the week, it will conclude with a quiz. All right. And so, and if you'll notice in the Moodle course, if I go back to Moodle, that, and let's go down to week 3, because I think that's when it starts. We start, so there's a video, and then there's a quiz. And this quiz is due by Tuesday at 8:45 a.m. And the reason why I've selected it, or the reason why it's 8:45 is because that's when I teach the class. We take the quiz at 8 o'clock or 8:15, and it usually takes us about a half an hour. And so just to be fair to everybody, that's when they're due. And so that way, when I go through and I evaluate and I grade those quizzes, I can do everybody at the same time. So that's when I want, so you guys will have the weekend to get those quizzes. I'll open them like on Saturday morning, and then, or maybe on Friday. And then you'll have that the whole weekend to get that submitted that way. We try to make this as accommodating as we can for teachers that way. Okay, so each week there'll be a quiz. You can kind of see that this is the schedule that we're going to follow. So on February 6th, we're going to have a quiz over chapters 2 and 3. On the 13th, we'll have a quiz over the portable power tools. On the 20th, we'll have a quiz over the first half of chapter 5, or pages 99 through 142, and so on and so forth. And we will stick to this. Okay, if for some reason we have a snow day here at William Penn, we just kind of skip it and we move on to the next one. Okay, today, seems like with Moodle and everything, we're able to get the content out to people whether they're here or not. And so we just kind of, we will stick to the schedule. So just plan on that, and life will be good. Okay, so 3/7 of the final grade is going to be based on how you perform on the quizzes. There are no papers outside of the final reflection paper that you'll have to do. 3/7 of the final grade is your lab performance, your performance in lab on the particular projects that we're going to talk about. And there's a bunch of them. There's a thingamajoint, and you're thinking, what the heck is that? I'll show you all these here in just a second. We do a biscuit joining exercise. A couple of these things are just kind of very simple exercises, just so you can kind of develop a skill in creating joinery that way. There's the cutting board project, and then the turning. You can see you either can do the turning project or a simple intarsia project. So that one's an either or. There were 2 really good projects, and a lot of students like doing one and some the other, and I just couldn't cut one, and so I just give you the choice, whatever you want to do that way, one or the other. We have a mass production project, which is a simple wood product that students will then reverse engineer. They'll create models and drawings, and they'll work through the production planning of that particular product, and then they'll go and actually make it. Okay, and so and then we have an heirloom quality project. And so let's go through and talk about each one of those. I've got some visuals that I'll show you. So first one was the thingamajoint, right? And all the different little joinery projects. So this is the thingamajoint. Okay, it's this can be easily made using some scrap 2x4s that you have laying around. All the pieces are like 17 inches or less, and so this is a good way to use up some of that scrap wood. But this particular project is designed, I think it came out of the core curriculum. If you guys use the, I forget the name. What is it? CR curriculum for construction. I can't remember what it is, but this particular project is really nice because it incorporates lots of different joinery. So there's a half lap joinery there. If you look at this corner here, you've got a couple of counterboard holes in a miter joint. This is a rabbeted corner joint. This is a dado rabbet corner joint, reinforced with screws. And then this is a counterboard corner joint with plugs, sanded flush, so you can't see them. So there's, this is going to be a great project for students to kind of really test their ability to create an accurate layout, as well as use a handsaw and/or hand tools to create a nice tight fitting joint, something that's square, something that fits together. It's nice and flush. The joints are tight, and so that's a good project. This is the plugging joint, and you can see you could take 2 pieces of of 3/4 inch or 1x4, and then you counterbore 2 holes. You drive a couple screws in there, and then you plug it with a couple of wood plugs that way. This is a pocket hole joint. Again, you're using either a Craig jig or maybe a Craig Foreman or some tool, some jig to drill out and create these pocket holes. And then you use a pocket hole screw, a specific screw that is designed for this joint, to put that all together. It should be flush and it should look nice. And this particular type of joinery is used widely to create cabinet face frames and things like that. And even, I know when I was in high school, I did some of those, and I made a whole table out of that, which I don't, now that I actually know something about woodworking, I probably wouldn't make a table using biscuit joinery, but anyway, or pocket hole joinery. This is biscuit joinery. Biscuits are these little football shaped flat pieces of wood. And a biscuit joiner or plate joiner is what's used to create these slots that then the biscuits slide into, and then you can put together a butt joint. Now it becomes an aligned butt joint. And so if you were to glue this, it would be much stronger because of the added biscuits that way. This particular project you're going to make, and you will not glue it. I want to be able to take it apart and look at it. All right. And if there's ever a time where, let's say, for example, you don't have a biscuit joiner and you need to do this, let me know. You can come to campus and I can, we'll get you in the lab and we'll get you working that way. Or the other thing you can do is there's a lot of these guys out there that have been woodworking and they have a lot of resources. So if you know anybody that does a lot of woodworking, or you have a teacher or at your school, use them as a mentor. They're a wealth of knowledge and they are fantastic. Okay, so those are kind of the joinery type projects. This is a cutting board. I think the plans that I included in Moodle are somewhat different, a different design, but the idea is that the cutting board is a really good project that incorporates a lot of different operations. So you've got to glue it first, right? In order to glue it, though, you first have to rip your pieces. So you're going to use a joiner, you're going to use a table saw, you're going to use a chop saw, you're going to learn how to use all those different pieces of equipment. You're going to glue it all together, which, gluing you'd think is really simple, but you can starve a joint. If you don't have enough glue in there and you create all these little voids and it's a very weak joint. So there's a lot to that. We'll use a bandsaw to cut a curve, send it through the planer to plane it to thickness so it's nice and flat. And the other thing is joinery, when you're gluing it together, to glue it together face to face so that you've got a nice thick cutting board that's not going to warp. And so there's a lot of work that goes into this. And then when we finish it, well, I guess we got to route it, right? And then we have to cut it to size, route it, sand it, 80 grit, 120 grit, and then we apply a mineral oil as our finish. Okay. And so that's a really good project. I remember I had a student here a couple years ago who did that cutting board, and he said that was really the first time that I really was proud of something that I made. He was pretty green when he came here, didn't have a lot of skills, and so sometimes the quality was not good. But with that particular project, it's just such a forgiving project. He was able to create that, and it was just beautiful. When he applied that mineral oil, it just popped, and the colors had really good contrast, and he did a really good job sanding, and he felt a sense of pride and satisfaction from that. So the other projects that you're required to do are either a turned spinning top, which this is an example of a spinning top. You've got your top, you've got your handle, and then you've got your drawstring handle. Each of those three parts are going to be turned out of a piece of cherry, and I can send you the blanks for those. but yeah, this is for some students, they really want to learn how to use a wood lathe. And so, wood lathes are, a lot of guys will make a lot of pens and ice cream scoop handles and things like that. And so, and they're pretty cheap. You can buy a nice wood lathe for a couple $100 from the Home Depot or wherever. This is the other one. This is called an intarsia piece. An intarsia is where you can take solid wood. So, we use everything from 3/4 inch. I don't go any thicker than 3/4 down to a 1/2 of an inch. And we can create a 3-dimensional picture out of different types of woods. You kind of see how the different grain of the wood will kind of create a certain effect, and you can add textures using sanding, but most of it comes from the color and the grain and just the thickness. You can change the thickness if you want something to kind of have a 3-dimensional feel to it. You can just play with the thicknesses of your different pieces of wood and put that together and create a very nice piece that way. Here's an example of a piece I did when I was in college. I made a whole bunch of these little nativities, and you would think, gosh, that looks pretty easy. I whipped that out real quick. Well, this takes a lot of time. Okay. And so this is kind of a good beginner project. And if you really like this, then you could get yourself a scroll saw and do something a little bit more involved. I would, for your very first one, I'd recommend doing 10 pieces or less, because it does take a long time to take a scroll saw and to cut each one of these out. And then they have to be rounded, and then they have to be sanded, and then they have to be glued together. And that's each one of these. And so it just takes a lot of time to make the Intarsia project. And then once you get done with that, you can decide, okay, yeah, let's make us a nice fish or a deer. I think one of the first ones I did was a deer, an Intarsia deer. So anyway, there's a lot of really, really good patterns on online that way. Anyway, also the mass production project, that was the one where here on campus, we put all of the students into a team, assign a team lead, and they have to kind of take a wood product, reverse engineer it. So they'll take their calipers and their tape measures and their radius gauges, and they're measuring all the different roundovers and the length and the width and the radius of the arcs, and they'll model it up, and they'll create the plans. They'll create a materials list. They'll create kind of a step-by-step procedure for each one of these parts. And they'll put together a production, some production plans. All right. If that they were going to, if you were to mass produce that particular product. All right. And so we've done this one. This is a popular one, this sitting bench. We've done this one before, where students will mass produce these little milk crates. This has actually turned out to be a pretty hard project. But anyway, we've had some do hall trees. We've had some do like these little throw racks that hang on the wall that people can hang their blankets or their throws on. Magazine racks, cell phone charging stations. You can do whatever you want, but it needs to be pretty simple. You need to be able to model it. And you need to be able to plan for it and make that. And that is your mass production project. And there are more details. There's an additional video, and there's more details in Moodle. As you work through week one, you're going to work through each of these projects and get a more in-depth description on how to do that. And then the heirloom project. This is a project that and I guess this is a good example of an heirloom project. We've had some students do something like, I don't know if you can see this little cabinet down here, this little right here. That's a pretty advanced heirloom project, because it's got drawers, it's got raised panels. I would say that's probably outside the scope of this class, but actually, if you look on, and I believe there's more further instructions on Moodle. If you go in the syllabus, it lists 6 or 7 really good options there. You can see the William Penn crate. There's a router bit cabinet that I've got that's really good. But a simple end table, a TV stand, a small cupboard. And these are all plans that come out of the book, you guys. And so you can go through the book and you can find one that you'd like to do, or you can go and find another one, something that's small and fits the scope of the class. I'm not saying that you have to do these. You can definitely pick one that you want to do. All right. And so that's the Heirloom Project. And so the Heirloom Project is an individual project that you guys are going to do on your own. Actually, because you're online, you're going to do both the mass production and the Heirloom Project as individual projects. So that's going to have to be the way it works, because, well, I've seen some groups will actually use Google Classroom, and they'll take, you know, students from 2 different locations and have them work together. But you know, I don't really see that working really well for this particular project because we have to share wood parts, and so anyway, we're just going to run them as individual projects that way. Okay, so those are all the different lab projects. You can see that, let's see, when you're picking an Heirloom project, it should be something that's both challenging, something you can afford, and something you can complete on time. So safety and evaluation. So one of the things that's difficult with regards to evaluation is, you know, if you were here on campus and I could observe you and I could help you and I could see what kind of progress you're making. Unfortunately, I have no idea if you're doing this class remotely. All right. And so each week you will have a weekly lab report that'll be due. And so these should be approximately 1 page, and you're going to just explain what it is that you accomplished this week and how that compares with the schedule that you put together. Okay, at the beginning, I want you to kind of put together a plan as far as when you're going to do what project and how long, you know, it should take in order to get everything done on time. And if you're ahead of schedule, great. If you're behind schedule, how are you gonna get back on track? Okay, and then I want you to identify 2 things that you took away from the week's lab experiences. All right, so 2 key takeaways, 2 golden nuggets, 2 things that you learned. All right, and they should be specific and give examples and explain how those things, how your behavior, how your thinking will have changed as a result of that learning. Okay, and so it should be, you should have a paragraph for each. And then if you have questions or you need help with things, if you want to the weekly lab reports are a great place for you to share your ideas and your thoughts and your questions with me, and I will read them weekly. And so this is a great place to communicate with me that way. All right. The other thing that I want you to do as you go throughout the course is to get organized. Find a 3-ring binder and create what I call a class notebook. All right. Get some let's see, section dividers. Create a cover page in the very end. Get some section dividers, get it organized. You should have a section for your syllabus, your rubric. I want you to have a section for your part drawings, a section for your mass production plans. See, now a lot of students here on campus, I will give them a lab notebook. I'm not really able to do that with you guys. And so I provided you with all the documentation in Moodle, the drawings, the plan of procedures, and the tips and tricks that I've learned. And so you guys can go ahead and just print those out and create yourself your own little notebook. And you can keep that. So that if you are to develop your own class, you've got something that you can work from. Okay. That way. So and that class notebook will be due at the end of the semester and will be turned in with all of your other projects. And because you're an online student, you're going to have to coordinate a time to come to campus to turn in those projects, because at least I haven't found out a good way to evaluate a project online yet. So, and I think it's good too, because that'll give you a chance to get here on campus. I can show you the lab, we can do a tour, or if you have other projects that you maybe need to do before you turn in your stuff, we can kind of coordinate and do that all during one visit. So 3/7 is the class grade, 3/7 is the lab grade, 1/7 is the final evaluation. And my final evaluation is 2 parts. The first half is a leadership reflection paper where you think about all the different things that you've done as a part of this class over the course of the semester and how those things have helped you to develop leadership. Okay. What was good about them, what was not so good about them. Just do a critical analysis of the things that you've done and how that will benefit you. And then the second part is a comprehensive exam, which I hate comprehensive exams, you know. And so here's the carrot. Here's the deal. If you guys can earn an average of above 92% on your weekly quizzes, then we don't even have to mess around with the comprehensive final. Okay. You get waived from that requirement. All right. So again, that's kind of a little bit of incentive for you guys to prepare and to get organized and work hard throughout the course that way. All right. I am a firm believer in getting students out of the classroom and into the real world, and I want to encourage everybody to do that. And if you'd like to do that, I will give you extra credit for doing that. You know, there are a lot of really cool things that you could do. You could go to a wood-based manufacturer. You could go to a construction site. You could go to an architecture firm. I don't know. I'm pretty open to just about anything, as long as it gets you talking with people from industry, and then you write a couple pages about it and what your 5 key takeaways were from that experience. I'll give you up to 3% extra credit on your final grade. Okay, which is pretty generous, I think. And I'll give you more, you know, if you wanted to do 2, 3 or more, I'll give you up to 10% of extra credit on top of this class. So you can do more than one if you want. All right. And so those can get submitted in Moodle that way. At the very end of the course, at the very bottom, there is a place for you to submit your extra credit reflection papers. All right. And then we have, you know, your classroom policies. And one of the things that you'll notice is that we've really, we work really hard to have established a program founded on professionalism and safety here at William Penn. And so we really expect a lot out of our students. You know, because you're online, you probably, you know, this isn't going to really affect you very much. There'll be some things like deadlines and things, you know, attendance. I guess, you know, because you're online, you're going to be submitting your work online. That'll be your attendance. I'll use that to track attendance each week. But yeah, use this stuff if you want in your own classes. That way, we expect a lot out of our students and feel that when we do that, we get a lot. So, and so on and so forth. I think that's all I really wanted to share with regards to the syllabus. Believe I went through and talked about Moodle. You can see each week, let's say, for example, let's use week 1 as an example. At the very top of week 1, and these are all organized by week, okay, there is some instructions for the week, and these are all the different things that I want you to do throughout the week. And some of them are just going and watching a video. Other ones are going to require you to download something, type up a plan, like say, for example, I can't find it right now, but maybe it's part of week 2. Well, now it's one I got me thinking, did I forget to put it on there? At some point, you guys are going to put together kind of a lab plan when you're going to be doing what, and then you'll submit that via Moodle. And at the very end of the week, you can see there's a section called weekly assignments, and that's where you're going to submit your lab planning worksheet and your calendar, okay? And your week 1 lab report, all right? And so, so yeah, some things you're going to just watch. Some things are just there for reference, like all these drawings. Some things are, I don't know. This is a template. If you've taken Mr. V's Engineering Graphics 1 class, where you learn how to use Autodesk Inventor, he provides you with a drawing template in that class. And I encourage you to use that drawing template as you create the drawings for your mass production project. And so I've provided the drawing template there, you know. So there's a bunch of with instructions on how to save that template so that you can use it to create your drawing. So, and then there's a video on how to produce a list of balloons. And I guess, you know, I'm talking about all this stuff and I'm looking at my screen. I should share my screen so you can see some of the stuff. But here you can see there's all these different resources for the mass production project that way. So so some things are references, videos, some things are drawings, some things are other how-to instructions. Again, I just threw a bunch of stuff on here, and so as you go throughout the week, if you have a question about anything in particular, you can always just email me. But it should be pretty self-explanatory. The weekly assignments are always going to be kind of at the bottom. These are where you're going to submit things. And so week 2, you've got a couple more videos to watch. You've got a signed safety contract that you're going to download, and then you're going to sign it, and then you're going to submit that, okay? And then this is where your week 2 report goes. And so just each week, you're going to check the instructions. You're going to go through this list, and you're going to complete those tasks and submit things that are required to be submitted in Moodle, okay? So, so you know, the course, there's quite a bit of stuff here. There's quite a bit of work, especially in the lab part. And there's even, you know, there's quite a bit too on you know, with the readings and such, but they're not super complicated, and you get to use your notes when you take the quizzes. And so it's not, I don't want it to be too much, but there is quite a bit, and these courses are designed to stretch people, right? That's how you grow. That's how you develop. That's how you got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. So I've intentionally tried to do that. And so, so yeah, as you're going throughout the semester, as you're feeling that stretching effect, find some people, use your peers, email the others that are working online. There's a couple of you who are doing that, as well as, you know, find a mentor, somebody that you can lean on and ask questions to there at your school. Or you can email me and we can talk. So ask questions, and I'd be more than happy to help you. That's why I'm here. So, so yeah, that's about all I've got for now. Again, we just kind of went through how to get started and just some of the basic information about this course. And so let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, I look forward to interacting with you throughout the semester. And so thanks for listening. Bye now.